Hey everybody. Yesterday I shot a video where I used very cold water to do a very large top off in one of my tanks, and I did that to demonstrate that we don't really need to worry too much about water temperature during water changes, because it really doesn't shift your tank temperature all that much. And it was kind of slapdash. I did it on the spur of the moment. It was one of those days where I was running late and I didn't have a video idea to do, so I just sort of did that as my video, and I didn't think it through. I left a lot of points out, and so today we're going to do a little follow-up on that video. If you haven't watched it yet, I'll put a card, attach a card to it so you can see that video if you want. But what I did was I took about 5 gallons of water that was about 60 degrees, and I did a top off on one of my tanks that holds about 40 gallons. So it was a significant top off, but it was the equivalent of about a 10 or 15% water change if you had pulled that much water out and then simply put new water back in. In this case, the new water I was putting back in was very cold compared to the 76 degree tank temperature. And at the end of the video, we only brought the tank temperature down to about 72 degrees. So we only lost 4 or 5 degrees total in that whole entire water change. And my point was not to use cold water or that sort of thing. My point was simply to demonstrate that if you're going to do a water change, and I'm doing one with water that's this cold, and yet it had that little impact in the overall tank, then you just don't need to worry about it. When you run the water, don't stress about making sure it's the exact same temperature as the water in the tank. Turn your water on, put some hot water running, run your hand under the tap. When it feels about right, that's fine. That was my point. You just simply don't need to stress about it. Run your hand under it. When it feels that it's about close to your tank temperature, go ahead and use it. That's fine. You don't have to stress out about making sure that water is the exact same temperature. I wasn't suggesting using cold water or anything like that. I was doing an extreme demonstration to show you that even at that extreme, it had very little impact. So what you're doing on a normal water change is not going to have virtually any impact at all. And I'll leave you with the final thought of saying that if you're going to shift your water temperature during a water change, it's always better to shift it down than it is to shift it up. For one thing, the fish will tolerate colder temperatures better than they will tolerate warmer temperatures. Warmer temperatures can also drive oxygen out of the water, and a tank will heat up much faster than it will cool down. So if you put too much cold water in, even if it's not an unheated tank, even just room temperature, all of the heat that's stored in the rocks and the gravel and the glass and in the room, that will heat that tank up much, much faster than a warm tank simply trying to dissipate heat out into the room. So if you're going to go one way or the other with shifting the water and you're running your hand under the tap, if it feels a little warm to you, then back it off. It's much, much better for it to feel a little cold than it is to feel a little warm. So those are my final thoughts on that, and again, I'll attach a card to that other video if you haven't seen it yet. Simple demonstration of using an extreme cold temperature and still having very little impact on our tanks. Again, just don't worry about it all that much. So thanks for watching. Don't forget, I do a live stream every Friday and Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I will see you then.